throughout the show. Jim Diamond from the Associated Press will be with us at 7:30. We will get into the Nashville Predators with him, and Terron Davenport for his weekly visit coming up at 8 o'clock on the program today. So looking forward to that. Taking your thoughts in the meantime, 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. Joe Rexrode, good morning. Happy Friday to you from the city of Chicago, where the Sweet 16 will be taking place today. How we doing?
Happy Friday. Doing okay. Doing all right. How you doing?
Not bad. Got a lot of stuff going on throughout the sports world today. Connor Newt in for Ian Safar today. Connor, how we doing? What's going on?
Not bad. Waking up. Still getting used to the wake-up call, but I'm doing well.
Did you stay at the studio last night after the Predators game, or did you go all the way home and then all the way back within the span of 7 hours?
I went all the way home and all the way back in the span of 7 hours because I prefer to sleep in my own bed and not the hard floors of Cromwell Media.
There you go. There you go. Connor Newt pulling double time. Going double time last night. Tough loss for the Preds last night. We're going to get into that in some more detail in the 7 o'clock hour, but not their best stuff last night. And I thought, and Steven Stamkos definitely agreed, some pretty spotty officiating in the third period last night that Stamkos was more than happy to discuss, that we'll get into in the 7 o'clock hour. But tough loss for the Predators last night against the New Jersey Devils. They have Montreal coming in tomorrow, and they are on the road to Tampa on Sunday. So LA wins last night. Seattle wins last night, which means Preds have a 1-point lead on the second wild card spot against LA. They're up 3 against Seattle. Utah did lose 7-4, which means they're still 3 points back of that first wild card spot, but things tightening up, no pun intended, a little bit for the Nashville Predators last night. And again, we'll get into that in the 7 o'clock hour. Joe, the Sweet 16 yesterday beginning, and we'll get into Tennessee's matchup with Iowa State here in just a few minutes, but you had Arizona smoke Arkansas yesterday, Purdue taking down Texas in a thriller, Illinois in a 65-55 final score, taking down my national championship pick in Houston, and then Iowa, which apparently is just where people go to play basketball, the state of Iowa, 77-71, the final against Nebraska. What stood out to you yesterday, Joe, the most in the Sweet 16?
Yeah, well, I regret my Houston Final Four pick. Again, I know you picked them to win it all, but watching that game, and it's like, it's like all year long, as good as Kingston Flemings is, and Chris Sinek's really talented, they really aren't the same team. From last year, they had L.J. Cryer, they had Jawan Roberts, they had all these other guys, and they were just way better defensively. But I mean, even that team from last year, if this Illinois team with that size is going to play defense the way they did last night, then that's the best defensive game Illinois has played all year by any measure. And we know that this is, basically they've been the number 1 or number 2 offense, excuse me, most of the year. So it's all been about okay, can they put it together defensively? Can they win close games? I mean, last night ended up not being a close game, but I'm looking at Illinois, and I'm not going to disrespect Iowa because they're here, there in the Elite Eight. But I mean, Illinois has to beat Iowa to get to the Final Four. I'm sorry, Illinois is going to be in the Final Four.
That sounded like disrespect to me.
I know. So mark that down when I'm wrong. That Illinois is they've got an absolute, just a ticket to the Final Four right now, and that's a huge deal for Illinois. I mean, I believe the last time they were in the Final Four, it would have been that incredible 05 team with D. Brown and Darren Williams and Luther Head that went 37-2. One of the best college basketball teams I've ever seen in person. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm choked up today. I guess because
it's an emotional time.
My bracket is so bad, but Purdue, Texas was a great game, and unfortunately, the two great games were early, and the 2 late games that I was more excited about were blowouts. But Purdue, outlasts, obviously a really talented. I mean, anybody's been watching Texas in this tournament, very talented team, and right there, and could have had a shot here obviously to play Arizona for the Final Four. But if you watch much of Arizona and what they did to Arkansas, and Arkansas is not a perfect team. They've had flaws this year, but like Darius Acuff had his 28-point night. But our Arizona, to me, looks like the clear best team in this tournament. And so I guess I shouldn't cry too much because that's who I had on my bracket winning it all. They are that's just a wagon, and they completely handled them. And we, by the way, Iowa, Nebraska. I mean, I have not seen. I don't know if I've not seen 4 players on the floor like that ever. I don't remember that in college basketball. Nebraska with 4 guys on the floor, and that's at a key juncture, down 3, trying to press. Trying to get a steal, but then if not, you foul. So instead, with one less guy on the floor, they give up a home run and a layup and one on the play, and that basically ends their chances. So that's a crushing way for Nebraska. It's like this incredible, historic, awesome season. You win your first NCAA game, you win your second in this game against Vanderbilt, classic game, and you lose to Iowa in the Sweet 16, a game you led the entire game until like 2 minutes remain. I mean, I can't imagine a much worse outcome for Nebraska ball.
I'm not sure you could have disrespected Iowa any more than you did in the last 4 minutes there. I mean, with no disrespect intended, he said, and then it's just 4 consecutive minutes of disrespect hurled Iowa's way.
Well, I didn't just talk about Iowa there.
I mean, my goodness.
Well, I'll tell you. Okay, I'll tell you. Ben McCollum, like if we could redo National Coach of the Year voting, he would at least get, if you could do it during the tournament, he'd get a big chunk. I mean, it's incredible. You think about Fran McCaffrey. Every year they would have good offensive teams, good offensive efficiency, bad defense. And they would never do anything. They'd get to the tournament a fair amount. They had some like pretty good teams. This guy comes in year 1, instills toughness and defense. And look at you're talking first Elite 8 since 1987. We're talking, let's see, that would be BJ Armstrong and Ed Horton and Roy Marble. Those guare the last guys for Iowa to make the Elite 8. So amazing job by him. And I mean, that's respect. That is respecting Iowa. I've watched them this year quite a bit, and they're a pretty good team. Elite 8. Well, the Elite 8 is an incredible outcome. In his first year, Derek's calling me grossly disrespectful. I swear. Hey, Ben McCollum, man, incredible job. And Bennett Sturts is of course, he came with them from Drake, and I mean, he's a tremendous player. There's no doubt about it. All right. A lot of love for the Hawkeyes.
That's a little better. A little better. We're rebuilding a bridge here. How about former Vol Tobe Awaka out there last night? 14.7 rebounds for Arizona. Former Vols everywhere.
Yeah, he's a huge part of what they do. And it's just like they're the most bullying team in the tournament. Right, like Michigan has this huge front line, and they can, in some ways they are also a bullying team. But I mean, Arizona at every position, they have the senior point guard Jaden Bradley, but like every other position, including Braden Burris, who is should go in the top 10 of the draft. They're big and strong, and and so you can bring Tobe Awaka off the bench and just let him beat people up. It's pretty impressive. Texter says, Joe, I never agreed with you saying Braden Smith isn't a first-team All-American, but in the last 5 games, he's 3 for 34 from the 3 line. He is absolute cheeks. Good call. Braden Smith's great. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, he's not shooting right now. He's still great. He's still, engineered what they did last night. I mean, again, my thing is, if you compare some of the other players around the league, especially because defense is half of the game of basketball, I mean, that's where he comes up a little bit short.
Yep. And
how about some disrespect from him?
Yeah, that's nice. We'll just fill it out in this segment. It's all good. I thought Texas was going to pull it out there for a minute, Joe. That 11th seed could have had an 11 seed win yesterday and a 9 seed punch their ticket to the Elite 8. But Purdue makes a couple more plays there in the end. That's a good game, though. I saw quite a bit of Purdue and Texas at Bridgestone Arena yesterday that I was watching.
Yeah, no, Purdue. Yeah, Texas absolutely could have pulled it out. Would either of them? I mean, can Purdue beat Arizona. I mean, the Big Ten is sitting here. We know for sure there's a Big Ten team in the Final Four. Illinois or Iowa. Could be Iowa. But we know one of them is going to be in the Final Four. I mean, I'm in Chicago. Games tonight. Michigan, to me, is the clear favorite to advance from here. Michigan State has a shot, UConn, and then you get St. John's and Duke. And then, obviously Purdue, Arizona. It is possible. It is still on the table for the all Big Ten Final Four in Indy. What would people think about that?
Greg Sankey wouldn't like it. 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. Off and running today on Robby and Rexrode. Tennessee is in action today against Iowa State in the Sweet 16. We will look ahead to that matchup coming up next. Take your thoughts as well. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on Tennessee taking on Iowa State today in the Sweet 16. The NCAA men's basketball tournament update presented by Toyota. Let's go places. And by Pizzona MD. If your roster is full, it might be time for a vasectomy. Pizzona MD in Brentwood. Scalpel-free, needle-free, PizzonaMD.com. Joe Rexrode, a chance for Rick Barnes and company today to punch their ticket to what would be their third consecutive Elite Eight. We've talked about the fourth consecutive Sweet 16 that they've already made. Iowa State, a very good defensive team, a team that has been elite all year long at forcing turnovers. So that's going to be key today, as we've mentioned this week. If Tennessee's going to take down Iowa State, have to take care of the basketball. But it's a heck of an opportunity today for Tennessee. You know, the spread is Iowa State at 3.5, and we'll get into the picks for this later. But if Tennessee can win and they punch their ticket to yet another Elite Eight, I know people are still always going to be like, all right, Final Four under Rick Barnes. But if they get the third consecutive Elite Eight today as a 6th seed taking on Iowa State, I mean, that's a pretty darn good accomplishment from Rick Barnes and this program.
Yeah, no question. You know, you're talking about one previous Elite Eight in the history of Tennessee basketball, which was Bruce Pearl 16 years ago. And that's it. And so if you're talking about 3 straight under Rick Barnes, I mean, that's really good. You want to get to that first Final Four in Tennessee program history, that second Final Four in Rick Barnes' career history. And look, if Tennessee, I mean, look, I don't know how tonight's going to go right now. I expect Michigan. I've already said it. I expect Michigan to blow out Alabama. I mean, I think that's what we're going to see. But you know what? I don't know that for sure. Alabama is capable of shooting. And I favor Iowa State, but I will say that, first of all, yesterday, Joshua Jefferson was out there like, he's stationary shooting on the court. A few of us spent a good amount of time interrogating him in the locker room about his injury. Pete Thamel had like 8 straight questions. I finally interrupted. I'm like, dude, like you've asked like 8 straight questions. I actually said that after. Like, sorry, Pete, you had I think I said 11 straight. You had 11 straight questions, Pete. But shout out Pete Thamel.
Have some of that, Pete Thamel. I'm going to be stepping on Rexrode's toes.
Oh, I've known Pete since he was like 22. But yeah, you can't ask 11 straight questions. I mean, it's just how it goes. There were like 20 people around Joshua Jefferson trying to interrogate him and trying to find out every little thing about the ankle. It just, he's going to go out and try to cut and move today before the game. And he's like, basically, if it's a little bit of pain, I can go. How about now? It's a good amount of pain. He's not. I'll be shocked. I mean, things can get better overnight. You can wake up one day and something can be a lot better. I'll be pretty shocked if he plays in this game. And of course, that opens the door for Tennessee to have a real chance here to win this game. But it's still stylistically not their favorite. And that's so much of this tournament is matchups. And also sometimes it's just personnel matchups. You got one, player that you can't deal with, one matchup that's really bad, or it's just an overall stylistic matchup. This is not the type of team that I think Rick Barnes would choose to play in a spot like this. So it sounds so, it's like so simple. Like I was talking about this with Gentry yesterday. It's like if all you got to do is just take care of the ball, and you have a really good chance to win a game. And this team, they're all about creating turnovers. So just take care of the ball. But it's like, well, there's a reason they're good at it, and it's going to be really interesting to see if Tennessee can be aware of the different ways Iowa State will just kind of, they kind of scramble and pressure and come out of nowhere and get steals. I mean, if anybody saw the Kentucky game, well, Connor, I'm sure you saw the Kentucky game. I mean, Kentucky was in really good shape. And then all of a sudden they really weren't in good shape because of that ability to force turnovers.
Yeah, Connor, how do we think about the Kentucky performance against Iowa State?
I don't want to talk about it.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to
I just woke up, Joe, and this is the first thing you bring up to me.
I know it.
Well, I'm sorry. I mean, they just played your team, man. They just played your team. I mean, that game is a good example of like how they can flip a game, how they can just bother the heck out of a team, and all of a sudden it's like, what am I watching here?
Well, then of course, Joe, on the injury front, we've talked about Iowa State and what they're dealing with. On the flip side, I mean, how healthy is Nate Ament? Now he's going to play. I think we know that, but how effective is he going to be? And is he going to be anywhere close to the Nate Ament that we started to see at the end of the regular season that was putting up, 22, 25 points fairly regularly in SEC play?
Yeah. And, he looks, I mean, I have a feeling it's going to be a little better this weekend. So hard to tell, like, how much better. That's the thing with him too. It's kind of like, so how long would it take for him to really be like all the way back? Obviously, we don't know the full like extent or the full diagnosis on the injury, but I think there's a chance that he looks a little bit more like the SEC Nate Ament that we saw, and Tennessee's obviously going to need that. One way or another, they're going to need a pretty good night of production from him.
You're going to need a pretty good night of production from him. Obviously, Gillespie is key in this particular matchup as well. And, I keep thinking about your boy, JP Estrella. I mean, first off, stay out of foul trouble or the Rick Barnes is going to come unglued on the sideline. But it would be a good night for him offensively to be able to put together a solid performance for Tennessee tonight. I mean, you're always kind of wondering, let's say Ament is healthy enough to play a lot of minutes in this game. Gillespie obviously is going to be out there a lot. But, in any given game, who is the third option for Tennessee offensively? And Estrella, could be that guy tonight. We'll see. Obviously, this is going to be a pretty important game in terms of the guard play that they're going to get, and that's even outside of Jacoby Gillespie here. But I just wonder who's that third guy tonight that has to step up and make some huge buckets for Tennessee, because they're going to need somebody to be that if they're going to win.
Yeah, Estrella for sure. Yeah, you hope you're able to get some putbacks and lobs to Akpara. And, yeah, like Boswell, that's the thing. That guy stepping up and hitting some big threes against Virginia was a big deal early in that game. And, Amari Evans is a guy who, I mean, all of them at times can lay some bricks, but also they can score the basketball some. And role players in games like this sometimes can make such a big difference. So, but I think Estrella, they got to be able to count on him to just be aggressive, be able to get you some inside out shots, be able to dictate a little bit. Again, Iowa State, they'll be, they might hard double on any post touch. I mean, they do different things, defensively. TJ Otzelberger, who, by the way, is one of this was actually pretty funny. Like, basically everybody's asked about the North Carolina job except for Rick. Luke DeCock, a reporter from he was at the Raleigh News and Observer for a long time. He's like, well, Rick, you're like the only guy here who isn't going to be asked about the North Carolina job. And Rick's like, well, I'm from North Carolina. But Otzelberger, who apparently is not going, I mean, there's some strong statements on that side of things, like he's not going to North Carolina. I mean, he has two offensive coordinators. I mean, his whole baby is the defense, and that's kind of like why they're constructed, the way they are. That's what, that's just sort of like, that's the foundation of their program. So, like, if you're an Estrella, if you're anybody in the post, you just have to be aware of like different things that they're going to do to try to keep you off balance and try to turn you over.
Tennessee taking on Iowa State today in the Sweet 16. We will take your thoughts on that matchup at 615-737-1025. Our phone number. We'll look at some of the other Sweet 16 matchups today. We'll look ahead to Vanderbilt women in the Sweet 16. Plus, later this hour, Joe's favorite athlete in the news again. We'll get into all that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. 94.9 The Fan, your home for Nashville Sounds baseball, presented by Family Leisure and Social Cantina. Today, the Sounds open the season against Norfolk at 5:35. Coverage also available on the Game Nashville app and at thegamenashville.com. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Tennessee taking on Iowa State today in the Sweet 16. Joe, on the women's side, Vanderbilt taking on Notre Dame in the Sweet 16 today as well. Vanderbilt, a 5.5-point favorite in that matchup. So we've talked about, the potential meeting of Vanderbilt and UConn in the Elite Eight if it gets to that point. But first, if you're Vanderbilt, you got to go through Notre Dame today, which certainly is not a guarantee. Vanderbilt is the favorite in the game, and I think Vanderbilt plays their best, they'll win. But what do you think of the matchup between Vanderbilt and Notre Dame coming up later today? I believe at 1:30 is tip-off in that one in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I mean, Notre Dame has had a good season. They're you look at some of their, they lost to Ole Miss, and it was on the road. Of course, Vanderbilt lost to Ole Miss in the SEC tournament. Like, for example, Notre Dame lost by 40 to Michigan. They've lost to some average teams, lost to Georgia Tech. They had a rough stretch. Clemson at home, not great teams. Cal, UConn beat them by 38. So, but they've been on, a bit of a heater here, including a huge win at Louisville. They're a capable team. They obviously have a star in Hannah Hidalgo, 25 points a game. I mean, everything rotates around her. And, of course, Ayanna Moore, who was at Vanderbilt. And, that was one of the losses that I thought was really going to be tough. That was, of course, last offseason when no one knew what they were getting in Aubrey Galvin. And it's a clear upgrade. Now, I could also still argue that, it wouldn't be bad for Vanderbilt to have Ayanna Moore. She's a very good player. But, she decided to move on, averaging 12.2 points a game, shooting almost 40% from three. So they're a good team. But Vanderbilt's a better team. Hannah Hidalgo is a star, but Vanderbilt has the better star. I mean, I think Vanderbilt has the best player in the entire regional, even though Sarah Strong's going to win all the player of the year awards. So, I'm sure it'll be a good game. It's hard to say it's disappointing. Vanderbilt hasn't been in the Sweet 16 since 2009. But yeah, at this point, you expect to go a step further and get that shot at UConn, because I'm just completely dismissing North Carolina with any chance to beat UConn today.
You know what? Speaking of that, this is crazy. And I guess, I'm not surprised, because UConn's just an amazing team. Do you know the line on North Carolina and UConn today, offhand? Have you seen this?
No, but let me guess. How about UConn by
19.5? Add almost 10 to that. It's 27.5 is the line. Sweet 16 matchup. North Carolina, UConn, and UConn's favored by 27.5.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, that's like bringing it back to the stretch where UConn was so dominant in this sport. That's going back 10 years, right? 10 to 15 years where in that stretch it was it's embarrassing how much better they are than everybody else. I don't know that they are this year, because there's other teams that can beat them, but that is crazy for a Sweet 16 game.
I saw that line. I figured it had to be a typo, but it's not. 27.5 is the line for UConn against North Carolina today. By the way, of today's matchups, Vanderbilt has the lowest line at 5.5. UCLA only 18.5 point favorites over Minnesota, and then LSU an 8.5 point favorite over Duke.
Good old Kim Mulkey, Will Wade, Lane Kiffin.
What a triumvirate that is!
Greatest trio in the history of college sports.
That's good stuff.
I hope Will Wade shows up to cheer on. Did you see that Will Wade didn't? Did you see the AD from Buke, Oregon? The AD from NC State. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he's basically he couldn't even tell anybody anything. He said all this stuff. We basically been lied to. And then he just sent an email that he's leaving.
Well, It kind of checks out.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it kind of does. Yeah.
Kind of checks out.
I mean, like, seriously, why is Will, like, I understand that he wanted LSU and he did good things there, and he's done well. He obviously he's a good coach. But why is he worth like the way they're falling all over themselves for him?
They're just trying to bring the glory days back.
Like Kim Mulkey, absolutely. Like she had won 3 national championships. You do anything you can to get that coach. And Lane Kiffin, like we all get it, right? I mean, I still have my doubts. Like he's got to prove that he can actually win it. But like I understand the pursuit of Lane Kiffin. I think everybody does. Like he,
sure.
Will Wade, like what? He's fine. Did everybody notice all the trash he talked a year ago when he went to NC State? How amazing it was going to be. How he went out and plundered players from other schools, had a huge NIL budget, and then went out and barely got in the tournament and lost in the first 4. Why is this guy like the belle of the ball? Right? It's just only for LSU.
Apparently, people at LSU must just loved him. They've moved past the wiretapping incident. And now they're just ready to run it back like it never happened before.
Yeah, the wiretapping where he refused to talk with like the leadership at the school about it.
Water under the bridge, man. Water under the bridge.
So if you're LSU, you know that not that he was the only one cheating, but you know that that gave you an edge then, right? I mean, like
sure.
Obviously. So have you thought that maybe now like there's less of an edge? I'm just throwing it out there, man. That's the one. But yes, that trio is just what a special group, man. Special group.
What will be the best game played today? Will it be one of the 2 that you're at in Chicago, either Alabama, Michigan, Tennessee, Iowa State? Or do we think it's going to be Duke, St. John's, or Michigan State, UConn?
I mean, I think that's the – now, granted, last night, the 2 games I was most excited about, I mean, Illinois, Houston, I guess, was still competitive, but it wasn't great. They weren't great games. So I'll probably be wrong. I hope we get at least one good one tonight. I mean, I think Tennessee, Iowa State will be a very good game. Again, I don't think Alabama, Michigan will. But yeah, I got to go with DC. DC is, I mean, that's a Final Four level regional final. I've got St. John's in my title game, so I'm sticking with that. I like St. John's, but yeah, Michigan State, UConn should be. I would think that could be like a down to the wire kind of game. Great game. And again, either of those teams good enough. All 4 of those teams in DC, you're not blinking if any of those 4 are in the Final Four. And I don't think that was true of any of the other 3 regionals.
I'm very much pulling for executive assistant to the regional producer, Tom Izzo, in this game to pull it out against UConn.
Yeah. I mean, the Izzo Hurley, first of all, for the officials, I mean, I understand like we already had Hurley Mick Cronin, and now we got Hurley Izzo in the officials' ears. Whoo, baby. I mean, my goodness, they better really soak up John Shire's niceness in the first game. Like that's your only – because Patino also is sneaky. I mean, he seems kind of composed usually compared to like Hurley and Izzo,
He claims he never says anything to the refs, which I don't believe.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that's true. I mean, I'm sure we could find footage from this year that would disprove that. But he does. He's definitely more scaled back. Hurley is the most screaming at refs guy I've ever seen in sports, I think, right?
And you imagine if it was like Hurley and Todd Golden out there together? Game might not actually get played.
That's a good point, Todd Golden. But Todd Golden,
he screams at other people.
Yeah,
not just the refs.
He saves a lot of it for just absolutely, barking down the sideline. How about that, Connor Newt? We can get Connor Newt on that. How about when he screamed at your guy Mark Pope? Were you mad?
No, because he deserves it. I'm mad at him right now.
Do you want Pope out? Do you want Pope out of here?
I mean, I'm willing to give him one more year just to see, prove this year was a one-off. But his coaching this year and his recruiting right now, it's just not been up to par. So I'm willing to give him one more year, but I don't know. I don't know.
He doesn't sound confident. Does not sound confident in Mark Pope.
I think one more year is fair. I think that's fair. I don't know that all of BBN feels the same way, but I mean, that's what's going to happen, right? So you may as well embrace it. But is it going to get to the point where Kentucky fans are so sure he's not up to snuff, and they may be right. I mean, I think I'm leaning that way that they're probably right. Is it going to be one of those things where you're hate watching the guy next year?
No,
you don't want to do that.
No, I'll never do that. No, it's still my
Okay.
team,
Okay.
but I'm just not confident about his future.
Yeah,
The Butch Jones of Kentucky basketball.
Brick by brick.
That's pretty good. There is a little bit of Butch Jones going on there. I hadn't even thought about that.
Hey, Butch won some. Not a lot, but some.
Absolutely.
He's better than Dooley. Better than Pruitt.
There was some serious excitement about Butch, man.
I know.
10 years ago, like there was some serious excitement about what was going to happen.
Yeah. It's good stuff. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll take more of your thoughts on the NCAA tournament. Plus, Rexrode's favorite athlete back in the news. And it made me legitimately chuckle yesterday because I thought immediately of Joe. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 the game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025, our phone number. Joe, Tom Brady back in the news again. He's playing flag football last week. He's out there, looked like he's 35 years old again, just maneuvering around, throwing the ball around. And made news. He did an interview with CNBC where he said that he at one point explored the possibility of coming out of retirement and returning to the NFL, and said that the NFL, quote, did not like that idea very much, considering that he was minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. He did emphasize apparently a couple of times in this interview with CNBC, Joe, that he is very happily retired, but said, quote, I have actually inquired about coming out of retirement. They don't like that idea very much, so I'm going to leave it at that, was the quote that he had for CNBC. So Brady will be 49 years old in August, and he doesn't, as far as I can tell, get into a whole lot of specifics of, I guess, when he explored the idea of coming out of retirement. But that made all the rounds in NFL circles yesterday, Joe, that apparently at one point he explored that idea, and the NFL didn't like it a whole lot, considering he was a minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Joe, your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously any Brady thing is potentially annoying, but I have a lot of questions about that. First of all, why would the NFL be upset about that? They allow this guy to be to run a team. Everybody says like he's basically the guy in charge, and also be Fox's top announcer, top color analyst, and go around to all the teams. And so, if that's okay, why would the league be mad about him playing?
Well, I think there's a difference between, playing and being an owner of a team and being a commentator. But your point is well taken, right? I mean, they seem to be picking and choosing what they're getting upset about.
So, and to be clear, then he would just be a free agent, and
I guess
would he play for the Raiders?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess in that scenario. I guess about in the NFL, it's like, well, I mean, again, I guess you would need to play for the Raiders. I don't know.
I don't know how you could own part of a team
and play for another,
and then go play for another one. That'd be a tough one.
Okay, so play that out. So he plays for the Raiders because he owns part of it. That we've had player coaches before, right? We have owner announcers now. Tom Brady has given us the owner announcer. Why can't we have player owners?
Sometimes I wonder if he just says stuff,
Yeah. Well, I think he does.
Sometimes I wonder if he's like, yeah. I mean, I explored the possibility of coming out of retirement. I mean, I don't. The other day, I guess the flag football Olympics. He was asked about whether or not he wanted to play in that. He's like, never say never, but probably let guys like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen take care of that. He just I don't think he can help himself. I think he likes some of the spotlight a little bit here. People always obsessed of whether or not he's going to play.
Yeah, and again, it's just like he has to one up everyone all the time. It's pretty annoying. Speak real quick. Just came to mind because I wanted to mention it. Did you see what Bruce Pearl said on the broadcast?
I did not.
Bruce Pearl. Long story short, he said, well, I hate hearing about Hubert Davis being fired. There's no loyalty anymore, and that's why I'm sitting here today. There's no loyalty in sports anymore, in college basketball, whatever. That's why I'm sitting here today. And it's like, you retired intentionally to get your son the job. What loyalty? What?
Yeah, they like he's gonna get fired.
Like actually, loyalty. Like Auburn's loyalty to him, to what he did, and having Steven have the job is like exactly what happened, right?
I think so.
A lot of dumb stuff flying around right now.
The heck of the take right there by Bruce Pearl. Is he talking about players? Because they move all the time.
No, he's talking about Hubert Davis being fired.
Okay.
So I don't know what he's talking about, but
Hubert Davis wasn't very good. There's also that.
Well, yeah, I mean, right. I mean, but it's just like
North Carolina.
Yeah, for sure. But again, I just don't understand how Bruce is applying it to himself. Maybe is he still mad at Tennessee for the barbecue? I don't know.
Don't know. It's a good question. K-Dot on the YouTube chat says, Denny Hamlin is a driver and owner in NASCAR and doesn't drive for the team he owns. Just get Brady out there. Get Brady out. I mean, the other part of this is like, I understand that Tom Brady defied logic for like how long he played in the NFL and, you know, how much of a high level he was still playing at like 45 years old. So I understand all that. You know, 49 in August when you haven't played in a while, you know, him taking a hit, I think I would legitimately be concerned for his safety at this point. I mean, he's approaching 50 years old. I do think that probably has to matter at some point.
Yeah, George Bland, you know, in the Tennessee Titans organization as a Houston Oiler, I think he was he an Oiler at the end, or maybe he was a Raider at the end? But either way, he played like that at that point. But I think he mostly was just kicking and smoking cigarettes at that point. So, yeah, I don't taking a hit like. I'm trying to think myself taking a hit now versus like 10 years ago. I don't know. It probably would have been bad either way, but there's no way it's like it has to be way worse, right? 10 years later.
I would think so. By the way, Blanda, with the Raiders at the very end.
Okay, yeah.
Just 26 years in the league, by the way.
Just
26.
Yeah, that's amazing. Ripping darts on the sideline. Just, you know.
George Blanda started playing NFL football in 1949, and he finished in 1975.
That's
a nice history lesson for you kids out there.
How many wars happened while
Several.
while he was his NFL career? That's pretty good, man.
I mean, he spent 7 years with Houston, 10 years with Chicago, 9 years with the Raiders. That's a long time in the NFL.
Yeah. QB
apparently
kicker.
Was retired in 1959, but decided that wasn't enough. Got back in there in 1960 and played another 15 years.
Back then, it was like they probably paid like $8 an hour in the NFL. You know, it's like I guess I'll come back. You know, the bartending's not working out. All right,
yeah,
I come back to the NFL for a little while.
Didn't know we'd go so deep into George Blanda.
Yeah, you just never
know.
And when that's always the name that comes to mind for me when we talk about, you know, about the, like, is he the oldest guy who's played in the NFL?
I mean, 48.
Yeah. How many, like, are there any kickers? Like Morton Anderson went way, I think, into his 40s, but I don't think he went till 48.
According to a quick Google search, it is George Blanda. Morton Anderson apparently went to age 47.
Okay.
But yeah, it looks like George Blanda at 48.
That was just off the top of my head. So Morton Anderson was number 2?
According to a very quick Google AI search, yes.
I'm proud of myself there.
Yes, Morton Anderson, number 2 at 47. And then 6 have been 45. Brady being one of those. But Titans legend Gary Anderson, 45 years old when he was kicking for the Titans.
There you go. Okay, that makes sense. We still don't know for sure, by the way, that Aaron Rodgers isn't going to, you know, try to break Brady's record, you know.
He goes through this same song and dance every offseason about whether or not he's going to retire. So he hadn't done it yet. So I guess you got to add him to the list. What's he right now, 41 or is he 42? Let's see.
Is that all? Yeah. Well, he won't make it then.
He's 42. So he'll be 43 in December if he keeps playing. So he's closing in there.
So basically he'd have to play 3 more seasons to break Brady's record then.
Yeah. Exactly. Ed says they should mic Brady up. He can play and announce on his own. Joe would be thrilled.
Yeah, there you go.
He's providing commentary while he's dropping back to pass.
Did you guys see that awesome throw by me?
Go get Gronk. I mean, if he comes out of retirement, Gronk probably will too, right?
God, get him off TV.
Like his lost puppy that follows him around.
I mean, like Gronk is. How could those two both be so bad at TV? As good as they were as players.
I think Brady's pretty good.
Brady's fine. Gronk is like, what are we doing here? just stop, dude. Just go on a cruise.
It's not great.
It's not good.
Not great. 615-737-1025, our phone number. Tough loss for the Predators last night. And a member of the Nashville Predators not very happy with the officiating after the game. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Connor Newton here with you on this Friday morning, presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Get thicker grass, better color, and fewer bare spots with turf application. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We will be joined by the great Jim Diamond later in the program, later this hour at 7:30. We'll get into the all things Nashville Predators with him, maybe a little Siena basketball. Terron Davenport from ESPN will be with us at 8 o'clock for his weekly visit as well. We got the Rob Rant later this hour. We got weekend winners coming up. Lots to go here on the program today. We appreciate you being with us. Tough loss, Joe, for the Preds last night. They fall 4-2 to the New Jersey Devils. Jack Hughes, American hero, had a couple of shots that looked like they were his goals. One of them deflected off of Nico Hischier. I think one of them was Jesper Bratt in front. So he actually didn't score at all last night and ended up with 2 assists on 2 shots that you thought were actually his that ended up in the net. So interesting stuff from that standpoint. Preds went with Onanen in goal last night, which I thought was interesting, but Justus Onanen made the start. They got a back-to-back coming up this weekend with Montreal and Tampa Bay. So my guess is he'll start one of those 2 again. My guess is Saros gets tomorrow and Onanen gets Sunday against the Tampa Bay Lightning, but we'll see what that looks like. Look, Preds were down 2-0. They weren't playing great last night by any stretch of the imagination, but they battle back. They get a goal on a breakaway by Reed Schaefer. They get a nice play on the forecheck from Ryan O'Reilly. Evangelista pokes it loose. It ends up on the stick of Steven Stamkos, and he executes the backhand shot to score for his 36th of the year. So it was 2-2 heading into the third period. Joe, I thought it was a game where it had a playoff feel to it from the standpoint of I think there were a few plays in the first and second periods and really even early into the third that could have been called for penalties by both teams that did not get called. And then you get a tripping penalty from Fedor Svechkov that was borderline. I mean, if it was Svechkov on Jack Hughes, so Jack Hughes probably going to get that call the majority of the time.
Little star treatment.
A little bit of star treatment. And then there was a slashing penalty that Matthew Wood took that I just thought was Charmin level soft, particularly at that time of the game and what you had let go prior to that. This is a relatively long clip, but I want to play you just the entirety of Steven Stamkos breaking down what he saw in the third period last night. Here's what Steven Stamkos had to say. Stamkos upset after the game last night, Joe. Just immediately, kind of unprompted, went into the officiating. So I figured I'd needle him a little bit more and ask him about it again in the second question there. But I just think if you go back and watch the play, by the letter of the law, is Matthew Wood, is that a penalty? I mean, I guess maybe, but I mean, it's for that game and the way that it was officiated, for the stakes of the season, and for everything else you'd kind of let go in the game. I mean, it was ridiculous, that call. And look, maybe New Jersey wins the game in regulation anyway. I did think New Jersey was the better team last night, so you have to factor that in. But look, I hear Stamkos there. They probably did miss out on a point. Like that game probably gets to overtime at least, and that could end up being a massive point at the end of it.
Yeah, and that's all you want is consistency. I mean, I think that's the point. You want it, but at that point, you've established. Because I'm not, I don't subscribe to like, whatever. Like this is a huge game, or even like necessarily time of game. I mean, if something's obvious, you got to call it. But if you've established how you're calling a game, I mean, it drives me crazy sometimes in basketball where it's like one half is called so tight and the other, and it's like just establish what it is. Here's the ground rules, everybody, and now you understand it, and now you're gonna that's how we're gonna do it. And so if you're letting stuff go like that, I think that's probably what people would prefer, right?
Yeah.
At this time, you're like, whatever, but just be consistent within a game. Within the game, be consistent. And so if you're going to call something ticky tack, and yeah, then you add to the frustration of you just killed off a penalty. I mean, that strains you anyway, and then you get another one like that. But that's the whole thing is like, if you're calling a bunch of stuff, then okay, you can be pissed about it, but at least like there's consistency within that. Like that's what it is. That's the most frustrating and obviously then it helps decide a game. But even if it didn't, it's like, why all of a sudden is that one? And and he's right. I thought, he was reasonable with it. It's like they call what they see, and we can have the benefit of replay and all that stuff, and it's in the moment. It's not easy at all, but it's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. And, Brunette didn't really want to get into it after the game last night. He talked about how they left the game up to chance, but he did say, at one point in there, he said, you left the game up to chance and the refs call what they see. Unfortunately, tonight it probably affected the outcome of the game, is what he said. It's a nice little subtle dig right there at the end from Andrew Brunette, who did not want to get too much into that last night.
He's staying on the good side of the fine situation. That's fine. You can get those little digs in, and you're okay.
That's right. So the Preds lose last night. Again, Utah lost last night 7-4 to Washington. So you're still only 3 back of that first wild card spot. But LA did win, and Seattle picked up a win. So you've got a 1-point cushion now on LA for the last wild card spot, and you're dead even in games played. You're going to play them twice down the stretch. So those are obviously going to be 2 huge games. Those are 2 games on the road. You're playing, next week their schedule is stupid. They're going LA, and then they're going to San Jose, Joe. And then they're coming back to LA for a back-to-back between LA and Anaheim. It's just the weirdest thing.
I don't understand that at all.
I don't either. But that's the way it's going next week.
Just do, like, sometimes you see this in the NBA, just play two in a row against the team.
Yeah.
I understand. Like, yeah, that's weird. I don't know that I've heard of something quite like that.
Well, everybody that comes in, like San Jose came in, is like, so wait a minute. They're in LA. They're coming to us in San Jose. And then they're going back to LA. And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, okay. All right, cool.
Yeah, that's tough. Huge games too.
Yep. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll take your reaction to the Predators' loss last night against New Jersey, which, by the way, sets up a massive weekend against 2 very good teams this weekend against Montreal and Tampa Bay. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Tee it up with us at the 5th annual 615 Open coming up May the 28th at Hermitage Golf Course. We are supporting Folds of Honor to help them fund life-changing scholarships for families of America's fallen heroes. You can register now to play or sponsor at 615open.com. We'll be joined by Jim Diamond from the Associated Press here in about 12 minutes, taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. A lot of people upset at the officiating last night in the Preds game. We'll take more of your thoughts on that. Joe, it sets up a big weekend here. I mean, look, every game from here on out is going to be big for the Predators, but you've got a couple of Eastern Conference opponents and a couple of really good Eastern Conference opponents at that. Montreal has 90 points on the year. They've got a player in Cole Caulfield who is, I think he's got like 44 goals this year. So a lot of stuff going on. Joe's got his hand up. What we got?
Yeah, I got issues. I'm sorry. I've got you coming at me 3 times. Something has gone really wrong with the YouTube link. Dude, I got to mute myself. Someone help me figure this out.
Mute your YouTube, my friend. Just mute the YouTube stream.
I turned off.
I don't know. Rexrode is completely freaking out there on the stream. We'll figure out what's going on that front. By the way, a Vanderbilt fan on the YouTube chat says, Vandy fan and I'm upset to hell with the Predators. I don't really know what that means. I don't know what the Predators did to Vanderbilt on that front. But Montreal, 90 points. So Montreal has 40, 21, and 10. Cole Caulfield's got 44 goals on the year. And then Tampa Bay. So you're talking about 2 teams in the Atlantic Division who are at 90 points and 94 points respectively when it comes to Tampa and Montreal. So that's a heck of a challenge for the Predators coming up this weekend. You got Montreal at home, Tampa on the road. So if you're going to get some points this weekend, which you desperately need right now, it's going to involve beating, or I guess at least getting into overtime against 2 very good teams. So you look at LA and what they've got coming up. Again, LA is going to see the Predators twice next week in that weird kind of wonky schedule that we've talked about. LA gets the win last night. And look, LA is not that good. I heard the guys on DVD talking about this yesterday. They've lost 18 times this year in overtime. 18. Like, it's very strange the way that played out. So they've got Utah on Saturday. So that's a massive game. So, like, in one way, if you're LA or if you're a Predators fan, if LA wins that game, well, they're in danger of jumping you at that point. The other hand, if LA wins and you win, you're one step closer to that first wild card spot if they could take down Utah. So that's a massive game to pay attention to if you're a Predators fan this weekend, with LA and Utah coming up on Saturday night. I mean, look, I would say this. I understand everybody wants wild card 1 right now, and I understand why, and we've talked about that. I mean, I guess the most important thing at this point is making sure that you're in the playoffs. So whether that's wild card 2 or wild card 1, I would probably be pulling for Utah in this game just to create as much separation between you and LA and you and Seattle and those type of teams as possible. But I will say, if LA goes out there and beats Utah Saturday night and you can beat Montreal and draw within 1 point of them, and then you got LA twice next week. So if you can get some points in those games, could be sitting pretty for wild card 1 on that spot. So I just want the world to know that's a big hockey night coming up tomorrow night. Montreal, Nashville, and then we have LA taking on Utah. Rexrode, have we fixed our issues going on with the audio?
Man, I don't understand that. I turned off YouTube. I didn't just mute it. Okay, you're gone. And it's still, you were coming at me, and then you were talking at me again 10 seconds later.
I
don't know.
That could either be a big time blessing or a curse.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, no offense to your voice, but when it's like you just said something and then you just said it again, it's someone my age.
Well, the hand came up. I didn't know. It looked like total panic. I didn't know if we were having some sort of medical emergency or something.
That was insane. So anyway, I won't be on the YouTube chat today. So hi, everybody, and bye, everybody. See you later. Good luck on there. As
I was saying, Joe, Montreal, Tampa Bay this weekend, big back-to-back. There's LA and Utah coming up on Saturday too. So if you're a Preds fan, who are you rooting for in that game, LA or Utah?
That's a great question. I
Thank
mean, to me, you're rooting for LA because you expect to keep winning and because you want that first wild card. So I think you have to. I think I mean, at this point, obviously you'll take getting in, right? But you're too close to a much better possibility in the postseason to not make that the priority, aren't you?
I think so, but I think you've got LA twice next week. A lot of this is probably going to come down to that. Like, how do those games go? If you're Utah, and like if you win Saturday night against Montreal and LA beats Utah in regulation, you're 1 point back of that spot. And you've got one game against Utah coming up. So I guess if you're a Preds fan and you're banking it in the back of your mind that in all three of those big games between LA twice and Utah once, you're going to get wins there, then yeah, I'd be rooting for LA.
players with trade protection, and some younger guys who really, Wood aside probably, or Evangelista aside, haven't really proven themselves much on the NHL level so far.
If you were the hire, and by the way, I think you should be a candidate. Give me the sweeping. Yeah, absolutely. Give me the sweeping synopsis of what you would do. Like if I have to sum up, like I'm looking at this team in a couple sentences, this is what needs to be done.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question, and I don't know if it's the easiest thing to do because, like we said before, that there's players with trade protection who don't have to go anywhere if they don't want to. It's very difficult to add, much of experience-wise. They do have a good amount of salary cap room here after this season going forward, so. I think I've bandied about with Rob in the press box that, hey, take a big swing and try to sign, maybe like a Jason Robertson from Dallas to an offer sheet or something like that, a younger star player, maybe on one of those teams that is pressed for the salary cap and does have a bunch of talent on there, but they got to do something to kind of shake up where they are, because it's just not happening. They're good enough to be in the playoff conversation, but not do anything in the playoffs or compete for a cup. So there's a lot that can be done. It's just not easy to do.
Yeah, Jim's been banging the Jason Robertson drum, and he's got me on board.
I don't hate it.
Dallas is going to have a hard time paying everybody, and that would be quite something. Jimmy, great stuff as always, brother. Appreciate you waking up early, taking time to be with us this morning, and I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, guys, take care.
Yep, Jim Diamond, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode, does an outstanding job covering the Nashville Predators. A longtime veteran. I want to see how many different ways I can call Jim old before this segment ends.
He's venerable. That's another good way. Also, he also is doing a little SEC hoops coverage too,
he's versatile.
Hoops guy, Jim Diamond.
Versatile Jim Diamond. We'll have
versatile and venerable.
That's right. Rob Rant coming up next. Terron Davenport with us at 8 o'clock. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. It is that time of the day, time for the Rob rant here on the program. We'll have Terron Davenport coming up here in just a few minutes at 8 o'clock. We'll get into all things Tennessee Titans with him. All right, Joe, my message today, pretty simple. I don't know when this was invented. I probably should have looked this up just to get a nice date on it. But there's this cool invention that's been around for as long as I can remember, Joe. And it has been designed to help pedestrians cross the street without getting run over by vehicles. Okay. And they've got this cool little thing called a sign that you can look at. And when there's this bright orange hand up, it means don't walk. And when it turns white and there's, they're even fancy now, Joe, where they start beeping at you. Like there's a lot of things going on. That means you can walk across. You can go across and walk across as a pedestrian. What it doesn't mean is, hey, when you're on this busy road in the middle of downtown Nashville and there's a hand up that says don't walk, it doesn't mean just do whatever you want. And boy, man, is that a problem in downtown Nashville. I saw this couple last night coming out of the Preds game, and I park over there by, I guess what used to be the Pinnacle building that is now, the Symphony Place Center over there. So, it's like 3rd Avenue or whatever it is. Plenty of people coming and going in the aftermath of a Predators game. There's this, it's a bright orange sign. There's just like, don't walk. And this couple just decides, you know what? In the middle of oncoming traffic, I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to walk anyway. Luckily, the person driving, stopped and didn't run over them and kill them. But it's so much faith that takes place in some of these people that the person driving the car is either one, paying attention, or two, isn't a lunatic that's just going to mow you down. Anyway, I don't for the life of me understand you just like playing the human version of Frogger out there and going out there in the middle of the street when there's a green light full of cars coming the other way, and you just decide, yep, now's going to be the time where I just decide to walk because I don't want to wait the extra 35 seconds that it's going to take to navigate across this street safely when I've got the walk sign. And this is a problem downtown. Look, there are plenty of areas downtown that are designed for pedestrians where they either have the right of way or it's just completely blocked off the traffic. Nashville, for the most part, I think has done a pretty good job with that. But you don't just get to do whatever you want as a pedestrian walking around the streets of Nashville. You do have to follow some traffic laws. And when it says don't walk, and there's a green light full of cars coming the other way that's 35 cars deep, you probably ought to hang out on the sidewalk for an extra 30 seconds to make sure you don't end up being launched into an office building somewhere.
Good God, man. It's like, obviously I don't want any of these people to be hurt, but this is where, as stupid as like the jaywalking, ticket sounds, like it's like, I feel like I don't know anyone who's ever gotten a jaywalking ticket. Like, I'd like to see that, it's like, I'd like to see someone like this actually be tracked down and given a ticket for this, just as like, a consequence that's not, a grisly death. Because like you are, as a driver, I think we've all been there. You better be paying attention, and if you go to like a college campus or something like that, like you have to know, like they are going to test you. Like they're just going to walk in front of you like that. But in a busy packed area like downtown with all the cars and all the people around, for the most part, I think people get that stuff. And then the random people who don't, like they really are in danger, and you got to really pay attention as a driver. It's hard to understand. Like we all, I'm sure, look, and it's like you have the don't walk, but there's no one. Okay, whatever.
Sure.
Just go.
Yeah.
That's fine. Do it. I do that all the time, but it's like, if you're that clueless, you're asking so much of other people.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know how you have that much faith in other drivers. Like, look, they got a hard enough time when they're trying to follow all the traffic laws, and they just run into stuff all the time around here. So, like, look, this. People are looking down at their phone all the time, and you're just going to be walking through a don't walk sign in the middle of downtown Nashville and trusting that, some kid out there is not looking down at their phone driving, or, I hate to single out the children or the youth of America. It could be an adult too, out there driving and looking down at their phone, and they just plow right over you. Like, I couldn't believe what I saw last night I'm going. Yeah, this is my world. You're all just living in it. I'm going. I don't care. I don't care that there's all these cars coming.
Yeah, and Gunner may be right. Maybe it's liquid fueled. Texture says Darwinism. Let them get hit. No, we don't want that. Someone else says the problem in all of Nashville pedestrians, especially bicyclists, think they own the bicyclist thing is a totally different thing that at times it's like
I got a problem with them too.
Oh man, like especially if you're gonna, if you're gonna go on the road, and it's like busy and it's a high speed limit, man. Yeah, that can also really be dangerous. Philip says he's an Uber
Lance
driver.
Freaking Armstrong out there. Armstrong.
I like Armstrong. Philip says, as an Uber driver, it's one of the most irritating things to deal with. Officers will be standing there watching people jaywalk as well. What makes it worse is when they throw up their middle finger like you're in the wrong. Yeah, it probably is in some cases, especially when you get downtown. They've had some pops probably, right?
Probably, but I mean, good grief. In my younger days, I had some pops. I still had a good enough sense to stop when a car was coming, I thought,
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, it's, I don't know. Again, I agree. It's like, you're asking, in any kind of like a big city, are you really going to ask like police officers to like enforce this? I would like to see it from time to time. Has anybody seen anybody get a jaywalking ticket? I mean,
last night's was like, there was no police officer around, but last night's I feel like was so egregious that it might have done it. Like if a cop saw it, it might have happened.
Like it's dangerous. Like it's absolutely dangerous. Trevor did research for you, by the way. The first pedestrian crossing signal was December 1868 in London.
Really?
So horses, hold up.
Okay. So the modern pedestrian crosswalk signal was standardized in the early 1970s, according to the research that Trevor has done. That's a long time to get used to this new phenomenon, Joe.
Yeah. You'd think that you'd be it's just, it is. Sometimes I think people are just like, yeah, whatever, we can do whatever we want. Or are they just like, I don't know.
You know what the thing about that is? It only takes being wrong one time in that situation. And then that's it. That's all she wrote.
Yeah. That's not one you want to be wrong about. But again, that's where maybe you'll get popped for like $100. What the heck is a jaywalking ticket cost?
Couldn't tell you.
No idea. I mean, as far as I know, it might be $200. I don't know. It'd be good to see someone, someone get one of those every once in a while. And I don't know, would that help?
So just pay attention out there. That's my message. Pay attention to the signs. And, maybe don't walk out in the street when 40 cars are coming down the road. That's my message to the city of Nashville today. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Terron Davenport will be with us coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Connor Newt here with you on this Friday morning. As we do every Friday morning at 8 o'clock, we head to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcoming our friend Terron Davenport to the program from ESPN. Fueled by Parman Energy. Visit ParmanEnergy.com, your one-stop petroleum solution. TD, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, fellas. How's it going?
TD, am I correct that you were in person yesterday watching the Mets chase Paul Skeens from the game and get the nice season opening win?
Yeah, I got to see that, man. That's kind of becoming a tradition, man. One of my longtime friends and I, we go to the Mets home opener, man. And this year was, the season opener, and it was a great chance to see our amazing.
I mean,
beating Skeens, that's strong.
You can't go 162-0 without going 1-0. Both the Tigers and the Mets won yesterday, so it could be a nice Rexrode versus TD World Series that I'm looking forward to. Getting way ahead of myself.
I'm here for it.
Who knows? You never know.
Anybody but the Dodgers.
Please.
That's what I'm cool with.
Yeah.
Anybody but the Dodgers. Big problem in the world of Major League Baseball.
With you on that. Yep.
So TD, we're still a month away from the draft here. We've talked about the Jeremiah Love part of this with you. We've talked about, obviously, the receiver part of this with you, too. What do you think of Sonny Styles, who I guess I would be surprised if the Titans went that way at number 4 just because of the position that he plays. But then again, Robert Saleh is the head coach, and Sonny Styles appears to be just an absolute freak out there. So I don't know that Titans fans would necessarily love that pick. But when you watch Sonny Styles, what kind of stands out to you in terms of the player that you think he's going to be at the NFL level?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just, this guy he's a tackler. He doesn't miss tackles. I think you look at the sideline range he has, the way that he closes on the ball. He's a guy you could use in all different kinds of ways. If you want to use him as a pass rusher, you could definitely do that from time to time. And then he has the speed to, carry a receiver down the seam or tight end down the seam. He's everything you want from a linebacker. And I understand why, teams are talking about him as a top 5 type of prospect, because he is just that.
So, the obvious name that whenever anybody talks about him, just because of Saleh, is Fred Warner, which I think is totally unfair. If he was, if he was like 80 to 85% of Fred Warner, I'd fall over myself to draft the kid, right? But is there anything that's actually a comparison there to you, TD?
No, I just think he's his own player. The style. Here's the thing, right? When I do comparisons, I compare it to styles, right? So if I say a guy's game is like Fred Warner, I'm not saying, hey, he's going to be all pro and this, that, and the third. It's just, he reminds me of him when I watch him, But I don't really get, there isn't really anybody in particular that, I say, oh, I've seen that before. When I watch, Sonny Styles, I don't really have a comp for him, frankly.
TD, what's your best sense of where Cam Ward kind of stands in terms of his recovery with the shoulder, which we've been asked a lot about from Titans fans over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, well, you've seen him throwing over the last couple of weeks. He was there at, the pro day for Diego Pavia. Right now, where it is they progress from the footwork to the arm. He's scheduled to be able to do everything this off season, which is a really good thing. So that's where he is. I'm not so sure as far as like pain tolerance or anything like that. And I know, some of the Titans fans I've seen where they're like, hey man, I hope he doesn't suddenly schedule surgery like Levis did. And I don't think that's anything that they would do. I firmly believe that their goal is to be able to do everything this off season and roll into year 2 with the arrow pointing up and all the things that they've done in free agency and the draft. And yeah, I think he's going to be good to go.
So TD, if the Titans go anything but edge, which obviously could be Love, could be Styles, I guess it's probably. I mean, I can't. I mean, I don't think there's anything else. I think anything else would be shocking, like an offensive tackle or something. But if they don't go edge, then you'd be looking at 35 and certainly thinking that there's a decent chance. And there seem to be some. There's going to be some good guys available around there. Just wondering, like the names that you might think of there, like Cassius Howell, R. Mason Thomas, maybe T.J. Parker, Zion Young from Missouri. How much of a drop off, first of all, do you think that group is from like the top group? And is there anyone in there or anyone I didn't mention that you really like if they are looking edge at 35?
Yeah, edge at 35. I mean, there's a drop off, and then you have, and it's always interesting because like when you have concepts and ideas, like sometimes you apply them, sometimes you don't, right? And I say that because if you look across the league for the most part, and over the last few years, if a pass rusher isn't drafted, like, in the top half of the first round, for the most part, those are the guys that are the most impactful ones, right? Outside maybe Nick Bonito, you look at Trey Hendrickson, you look at Max Crosby. So it's like, oh, okay, you do have to think about that. But then, I'm someone, and I'm basically calling myself out here because I'm someone that I think about that when I'm looking at these pass rushers. But then when you talk about the short arms with Bain, you say, hey, man, over history, X amount of players, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, man, throw that out the window. So it's funny how that works. But I say all that to say that I still think you could get a legit guy at 35, Cassius Howell. I think maybe even later in Derek Hall. You know what I mean? You look at Joseph out of Tennessee also. That's another option. So you could get guys. I don't know that they'll be as impactful as a David Bailey or Ruben Bain. You know what I mean? But the one thing that you do have to look at is how they've set themselves up to where if you could get a guy that's just a pass rush specialist to come in and get you sacks, you know what I mean, on pass rush situations and not play first and second down, for the most part on likely run situations, then it's you got your job accomplished. And I think that's what brings me to someone like a Harold Perkins, who could come in and be like that smaller rusher, like an Elvis Dumervil when he first, got to the league and eventually became a full-time player.
TD, I saw some videos that you put out there from the stadium this week. What kind of stood out to you about your tour of the stadium, and what do you think of the progress that's been made there?
Yeah, I mean, it's state of the art. I mean, they have stores that you could go in and you don't have to spend money. It just kind of like scans you and you have an account set up and whatever you grab. It's just like when you go to the airport, those worker-less or like attendant-less shops that you could go into. That stood out. Just the state of the art, what they have going on with a lot of things. I mean, you look at also how they have the stage there. Apparently there's a green room behind there that they're putting in that's going to be really impressive. Like they did build that stadium with the musicians and people coming to do shows there in mind. And that's an example there. And you have the stage, which is over top of the mosh pit. And that's as big as the stage at the Ryman. So they have a lot of really cool things going on. I'm impressed with how fast it's going. I mean, we've had bad weather, and it kind of knocked them off course slightly, but they're still right on par to be open in February. And I think that's just, it's remarkable. So, I mean, just the whole stadium itself stood out to me.
Are they doing what all other new stadiums are doing and putting like the press box in the very corner of the very ceiling of the building, not facing the field?
Yeah, it is kind of in the corner. But that's another thing that stands out to me, how vertically built this stadium is. It's a lot like Lincoln Financial Field. I remember, when the Eagles first introduced that stadium, and it was one of the first of where it's like most seats in the house are good seats. And because it's so vertically kind of on top of the field to give it kind of like the gladiator style, the press box, although it's up high and in the corner, it doesn't appear to be that bad of a view. I kind of looked from the 300 level up to where it is, and it's pretty cool how it kind of sits down over top of it.
All right, TD, last thing for you. I can't let you go without asking how you feel about the matchup with your Lady Commodores today taking on Notre Dame in the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Listen, two very good scores, but I think really what it's going to come down to is just Pizzat is going to be the difference. She just has to heat up early like she did last week. And I think she's going to be the difference because it's almost like, her and Aubrey Calvin, they're going to have to, kind of because the two top scorers, they're going to cancel each other out. So Aubrey Calvin, just Pizzat, they have to step up more than the role players for Notre Dame. I think they win, and it's on to the Elite Eight, and let's go.
I'm with you. Passat, huge key. Hit some threes, space the floor a little bit.
And then if that happens, we can all collectively hate Gino Auriemma together after that. It'll be fun. Looking forward to that.
Yeah,
that's right.
TD, great stuff as always, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with us today, and we'll talk to you next week, my man.
I appreciate you guys. And, hey, man, you know what it is. Let's go Mets.
That's right. Mets off to a great start.
LGM.
That's right. Terron Davenport with us every Friday morning on the program at 8 o'clock from ESPN, talking all things Titans. Fueled by Parman Energy. Visit parmanenergy.com, your one-stop petroleum solution. We'll react to what TD had to say. We'll take your thoughts on the Preds, on the NCAA tournament. We got weekend winners coming up at 8:30. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Tonight, Vanderbilt baseball hosting Tennessee at Hawkins Field. First pitch at 7 o'clock. You can catch all the action on 102.5 The Game. Coverage presented by Gary Force Acura. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Our football offseason coverage presented by Tennessee Brew Works. Tennessee Brew Works, the official craft beer football offseason coverage here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Appreciate TD for being with us in the last segment. Rexrode, you have a question for Connor Newt.
Okay. Yes. So I love the update where, Connor brings in the little Cal clip, and he's like, Cal taking a little shot at and I've seen people say that on Twitter, but I got to ask, are you sure he's taking a shot at Kentucky there?
I think so, because Pope kind of took a shot at him a couple of days ago.
Oh, no question. And Cal took a clear shot at Kentucky when they won the SEC title, when he's talking about name on the, it's the name on the back of the jersey, and you can get peed off or peed on. That was great. What a line. You can get peed off or peed on. What a line. That was a clear. But last night, I guess I'm listening to what he's saying. If you have it handy, play it real fast?
Yeah, I have it.
Let's let the listener decide. See, I hear that, and I just think he's talking. I think he's talking about himself, and he's talking about like everybody. But you think that when he says you don't have the money, he's specifically talking about Kentucky?
Yes, because that's what Pope said the other day. He said we're not going to have the same amount of money that we had this year, and it's pretty common knowledge, Joe, that they spent approximately $22 million on this roster. So
right,
worked out well.
Yeah, it worked out really well. I don't know if he's saying that we don't have the money or we're not going to use that kind of money this year. But what I've noticed from that clip is that all of those things that he mentioned, Calipari that is, were all things that Mark Pope mentioned on the radio show. So that's where I get I think it's a subtle jab at Kentucky.
Yeah, but it's also like, I think I just took it as he's talking about himself too. But yeah, I don't know, maybe whatever. It's a great little I'm here for the back and forth. I'm here for it. Cal, I'm sure if Cal would have won last night, and then he probably would have really taken some shots.
Oh yeah.
I got a question for Rexrode.
Okay.
If you don't have the YouTube link, can you not get to our show on YouTube? I need to get to the bottom of this boomerification we got going on here.
Well, that's what I lean on. Like basically every day I lean on like Ian tweets out and then I just click the link. I mean, could I go there and search it and stuff? Probably. Yeah, I probably could do that. But also, like, again, I went there today and then it was like, boom, boom. Okay. I know I've had that before, muted it. But then, like, you were coming at me double on the Zoom, I swear. Like, I X'd out of YouTube. In fact, I X'd out of Twitter. And it still was you coming at me and then the same stuff coming at me 10 seconds later on the Zoom. So I'm
not worried about that. I'm just worried about your ability to get to the YouTube page. I need to get to the bottom of it here.
I think I have done it before where I like search it up, search our show, and I can go in. It's really nice to have that link and just go boom, So anyway, I'm just gonna stay away from there because I almost had a complete meltdown and like it started like mumbling to myself and walking in the streets and walking in front of traffic like your friends in Nashville. So I'm just gonna leave it alone today.
It's probably good. But I just wondered. Wondered if it's link or nothing.
I mean, it's a fair question, and it's pretty much laziness. It's more of a lazy thing than a boomer thing.
Oh man, I was interested to get TD's thoughts on Sonny Styles there. Again, I think if that's the pick, that Titans fans are going to probably collectively roll their eyes.
Yeah,
he is a very intriguing prospect. If the Titans were in a different position as a team, I'd be all for taking him.
Yeah, I'm not excited about it, but it's. I mean, to me, like if it were him, if it's like you're not taking one of the edges, or the edges are gone, like the top two edges are gone, then I would much rather see a Jeremiah Love than a Styles. But yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, as he said, and I agree. TD makes these comparisons, and he makes good comparisons of players stylistically, which again, some people take as, oh, you're saying that's the same quality player. No, but even like stylistically, he's not like a Fred Warner. Like Fred Warner is, Fred Warner's combination of like speed, lateral movement, and power and size is just like is exceptional, which is again why he's going to be in Canton. But it's interesting that TD said Styles doesn't even have a comparison for him. I mean, he's obvious like the speed and everything. He's an exciting player. There's no doubt. Like I have a high level of confidence that he's going to be a very good player in the NFL. But again, we're talking about the number 4 pick.
Yeah, exactly.
And a linebacker.
Yeah. Trevor on the text line says, I think we've discovered that Joe's not a subscriber to 102.5 The Game on YouTube.
No, I
gotta get it figured out.
I hit the subscribe thing whenever, like a long time ago. So I'm a subscriber, but I mean, if you're going to be, I need this as a subscriber, I need the computer to just like do it for me and say, here you go. All
you got to do is go to YouTube and click on your subscription list. I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say your subscription list on YouTube is not very long.
That's true. I think it's probably one thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like you could find it every time.
Yeah.
I wish Kuharski was here.
Yeah,
he thinks that he's way more technologically advanced than you are.
Well, this conversation we're having right now probably backs him up. But, I mean, it doesn't mean he's not, in general, Mr. Magoo.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. Weekend Winners is coming up next. We got a busy weekend. It's the Sweet 16/Elite 8 in the tournament. We got Preds hockey coming up this weekend. We got a lot of stuff going on. We'll do it all coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
It's time to pick some winners. We hope. Robby and Rexrode have weekend winners for you. Now
on ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It is time for weekend winners here on the program. A standings update in the competition. Rexrode and I went 3-3 last week. I got my lock. Rexrode did not. Tough week for Ian Safar last week, Joe. 0-6. 0-6 with no lock for Ian Safar, which brings the overall standings. Rexrode in first place, 16-14 overall, 2-3 on his locks, 18 points. I am 15-15 overall, 3-2 on my locks, 18 points. Ian Safar drops to 12-18 overall, 4-1 on his locks, good for 16 points. So, Joe, you are technically in first place at the moment. Your thoughts?
I'm going to print up a banner right now.
You should. You should. We begin with Tennessee and Iowa State happening today in the Sweet 16. Iowa State is a 3.5-point favorite. Joe Rexrode, you are in first, so you're up first. Who do you got between Tennessee and Iowa?
To play, but I don't expect that to be quite enough for Tennessee to win this game. I just think Iowa State has a little bit too much firepower. You know, Tamin Lipsey is he's just a hounding point guard, in particular on defense. I think he's going to really give Jacoby Gillespie trouble on that end of the floor and maybe take him out of some things that he's comfortable doing. So I think Iowa State will end up winning this game by about 6 or 7 points. Give me Iowa State.
Give me the Vols to win and give me the Vols to cover. Vols are winning. Vols plus the 3.5. They punched their ticket to the Elite Eight yet again, and Rick Barnes continues to silence the naysayers. Connor Newt / Ian Safar. Who we got?
We'll be
Iowa State versus Tennessee.
We'll be naysayers today. Joe took the words out of my mouth. I don't think Joshua Jefferson will play either, so I'm curious to see how that matchup, or what would have been a matchup, would look like. Does Nate Ament step it up this time? But overall, I just think Lipsey is a good point guard. I think he's up in your face. I think Iowa State is just too good of a shooting team for Tennessee. So give me Iowa State.
Haters all around. Connor and Joe going with Iowa State in the matchup. WHDR here on the program.
Yep.
Tennessee and Vanderbilt with a baseball weekend series beginning tonight at Hawkins Field. I'll start in this one. I don't really love the way that either team's playing. I'll go Tennessee, though, take 2 out of 3. Tennessee gets 2 out of 3 on the road, Joe, and they win the series. Connor Newt, Tennessee or Vanderbilt this weekend?
I'll counteract my WHTR last time with some WHMR for you, Robby. I'll take Tennessee to win the series. I don't really love Vanderbilt's pitching, and I think Tennessee's bats are starting to wake up. So give me Tennessee to win the series.
We have had several concerns over this week about Vanderbilt's pitching. Joe Rexrode, Vanderbilt and Tennessee coming up this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just a total Tennessee hater today. I'm sorry. I know. But Vanderbilt is struggling. I mean, they're struggling all the way around. I feel like this is like this is the season turnaround moment, or maybe it doesn't happen type thing. I just feel like they're going to find a way at home to get 2 here and potentially turn their season around.
Is it going to be the same level of spiciness now that Vitello's not there?
No, and another thing is it's absolutely absurd, absolutely idiotic. Let me do a quick rant here.
Sure.
That the SEC would schedule this series right now, knowing, like, look at all the basketball. Like, there's a lot of good basketball programs among both of these schools. Like, why would you schedule this series when it's going to get a fraction of the attention it would have gotten in mid-April or later? It's absolutely idiotic, and it pisses me off.
I agree. I totally agree. Vanderbilt taking on Notre Dame today in the Sweet 16 on the women's side. Connor Newt, you're up first. Vanderbilt, a 5.5-point favorite in this one.
We'll go Homer here as well. I think Vanderbilt will take down Notre Dame today and advance to the Elite Eight.
Joe Rexrode, Vanderbilt, a 5.5-point favorite.
Yeah, so UT hater, Vandy homer. I've struggled with this one, but I think down the stretch, Michaela Blake's will go to the line, give them a little distance. They'll have a lead, and they'll hold on to it, and I think they'll just cover. So give me Vanderbilt. On to the Elite Eight.
Vanderbilt lock. I'm locking down. Lock it down on Shea Ralph and company. They win by 10 in this game. I'll take Vanderbilt minus the 5.5, locking down against Notre Dame, setting up a fun matchup against UConn coming up. I guess that would be Sunday over the weekend as well. Preds taking on the Montreal Canadiens. We'll go straight up here, Joe, because the game is at home for the Nashville Predators. An important game for both. Who do you have between the Preds and the Canadiens?
Yeah, I feel great about the Preds bouncing back. You know, they need to bounce back. They're in this thing. Had a rough night, maybe a little bit of bad luck / officiating, but I think they're going to come out and get this done at home. Give me the Preds.
I'm going Preds too. I think they respond tomorrow night at home. They get the win. You know, Ryan Johansson's going to be in the building. How could you not win when Ryan Johansson's in the building? Give me the Preds to bounce back against Montreal. Connor Newt, who we got between the Preds and the Canadiens?
For the sake of getting Ian Safar back into this competition, I'll go Montreal. I think Cole Caulfield will find the net. And, you know, I didn't like how the Preds played last night, so maybe that continues. Give me Montreal to win.
Going with Montreal on the road to get the win. We move to the individual portion of the program. I will start on this one. Give me the Buffalo Sabres -1.5 tonight against the Red Wings. I think it'll be a good game. Joe, I think the Sabres win 5-3 on an empty net goal. So I'll take Sabres -1.5 tonight against the Detroit Red Wings. Connor Newt, your first individual selection.
I'll go to the Sweet 16 tonight. Give me St. John's to upset the Duke Blue Devils and advance to the Elite Eight.
Going St. John's over Duke, which I believe is going to be a very popular selection. What's the line in that one?
Duke is favored. I don't think it's by much. Let's see here.
We use lines on this program.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's good for you. You want the points.
Duke's favored by 6.5. So
I don't like that.
Even makes Connor's prediction even stronger. All I got to do is cover the 6.5 against Duke. Rexrode, your first individual selection.
So quick on both of those. First of all, I got St. John's in my title game. I love that pick. Also, I'm with a bunch of Detroit media buddies here, and my God, are they down on the Red Wings? Oh, man.
Yep.
And Eiserman. Whoo, baby. They are absolutely pooping themselves. Speaking of Detroit media, they're here covering the Wolverines. Alabama, Michigan. Michigan -8.5 right now. Michigan's going to win by 20. Give me Michigan. Make it my lock.
Jeez. You've been consistent on that all week. No faith in the Crimson Tide.
Terrible, terrible matchup for Alabama. Terrible.
Going locking down -8.5. Says 20 will be the point differential between Michigan and Alabama. Connor Newt, your final individual selection.
Major League Baseball is underway.
Yes.
It started yesterday. Nick Frazier just walked into the room. Give me our beloved St. Louis Cardinals to win the series against the Tampa Bay Rays, and I guess I have to make it my lock, don't I? So make that my lock.
So going Cardinals to win the series against the Tampa Bay Rays.
I like it.
Go. I like it too. I like it stuff. We'll go there. Joe, your final individual selection.
Speaking of baseball and Detroit media, man, Kevin McGonigal, his debut for the Tigers, 4 for 5, 2 doubles, just missed a home run, 2 ribbies, 2 walks. Yeah, baby. Put him at third in the lineup. My final pick, Oklahoma, South Carolina in the Sweet 16 tomorrow on the women's tournament. South Carolina -17.5. South Carolina is going to mop the floor with Oklahoma. Give me South Carolina and giving the 17.5 points.
I mean, some of these lines are ridiculous. I mean, 17.5 in the Sweet 16. Good grief.
Yeah, they're still
UConn 27.5.
Yeah, the top of the sport, especially this year, it's almost like going back in time a little bit, you know.
Give me the Atlanta Braves -1.5 today against the Kansas City Royals. Don't ask me a thing about the Kansas City Royals, but Chris Sale is going to be on the mound for the Braves. They get it done -1.5. I couldn't tell you one player that plays for the Kansas City Royals, Joe.
Bobby Witt.
Brett Saberhagen.
Sure. There you go.
By the way, not
Mahomes
at all.
own them? Has he got any ownership in the Royals?
I don't know. And this has nothing to do with anything, but I just want to point out that today is apparently National Joe Day.
Really?
Well, that's what Joe Dubin just tweeted out, and he tagged like me and like every famous Joe you could possibly think of, like every Joe who's ever played football and played quarterback in the NFL. National Joe Day. It's a real thing. Ask Nick Frazier. He knows all the days.
How much disrespect, like as we've gone through this program, I mean, you spent the first 10 minutes of the program just totally disrespecting the Iowa Hawkeyes, which did not play well with Iowa fans on the text line. Have you disrespected Iowa more or Alabama more in this matchup against Michigan? Your thoughts, Joe?
I think Alabama more. I haven't given them like a peep of a chance. Like Iowa deserves a ton of respect. I'm just saying, one, if you're Nebraska, like it's such a turd in the punch bowl of this amazing run. The first 2 wins in NCAA tournament history. Your first 16, you have all this stuff going, and you lose to Iowa. You can't lose to Iowa. And then if you're Illinois, you're like, we just kicked Houston's butt, and we have to beat who to get to the Final Four this year? Oh, Iowa? Okay. I'm sorry. But Ben McCollum has done an incredible job. Bennett Sturts is a fantastic player. I have a lot of respect for them. I'm just saying, I'd be upset if I was Nebraska, and I'd be pretty excited if I was Illinois. I'm sorry.
How do you only have 4 players on the floor? How does that happen in a basketball game?
I've never seen it. I mean, there's a lot of great jokes out there with like, the Hoosiers clip. My team is on the floor. It's like, that's and I do. It is interesting, the idea of. I mean, Jalen Rose said this last night. He's like the officials should the officials count up every why. I don't understand why an official wouldn't be like, Coach, you're short a player. I don't know. I've never seen that situation. I don't know what protocol is like for the officials there. I guess if it's not 6, you just whatever. I don't know. But obviously, you add that to the embarrassment for Nebraska to put a negative twist on everything they've done.
Usually it goes the other way. Like, I'll never forget the time that Derek Dooley brought 39 people out on the goal line to try to stop LSU. It's like, wow, the whole sideline's out there on the goal line. It's amazing. LSU couldn't get a yard on that play.
Field goal, punt, kickoff return, goal line.
It's like, wait a minute. Tennessee made a stop. Wait a minute. Let's start counting. Oh, okay. 15, 16. A lot of balls on the field out there right now.
Multiple Derek Dooley references today too. So that's special.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. 615-737-1025 for our phone number. We'll wrap up the show. Coming up next, go rapid fire on NCAA tournament action today. Preds coming up this weekend, a back-to-back against Montreal and Tampa. We'll take your thoughts on all of it. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. For homes and businesses that want to stand out, not blend in, visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Joe, you were in Chicago. It's Tennessee, Iowa State. It's Michigan against an Alabama team that doesn't need to bother to show up. And your thought? Your thoughts on Tennessee and Iowa State. If the Vols are going to pull it off, what has to happen in your mind? And do not say outscore Iowa State, or I will come fight you in Chicago.
There you go. Well, that is true. But, give me if there's a stat to look at tonight, then it's just Tennessee turnovers. If they're 10 or fewer, I much more like their chances. We've talked about it all week. Iowa State, I think, is 4th in the nation in opponents' turnover rate. It's what they do. It's what, Connor knows very well. It's what they started doing at Kentucky in bunches and just kind of overwhelmed them. And then what they do is they get in transition. And by the way, I've been saying his name wrong. It's Milan Momcilovic. I've been calling him Milan his entire career. I actually asked him yesterday to say his name for me, and I'm like, Milan, okay. Milan Momcilovic is the best shooter in the country. He's dang near 50% on threes. They get in transition. He spots up. Taman Lipsey gets on the ball. He buries it. Joshua Jefferson, I don't think he'll play. If he does, he's going to be very limited, diminished. He's our best player. I don't see how Iowa State gets out of this building this weekend without something from him, but I think it's the turnover battle that I have doubts about Tennessee. They're kind of casual and loose with the ball anyway. But if you get live ball turnovers, giving them to Iowa State, then you're really in trouble. But if they can just have a great night of focus and attention to detail, then you still have to hit shots. Who else? Well, you talked about it earlier. I think Gillespie's going to, he's going to be in a battle with Lipsey. He also is more physical than Lipsey. I think he can still do some things, against him for sure. I mean, he'll score on them. You have to count on Ament to be a little healthier this weekend and to get you close to 20. Who else is going to give you a significant production enough in this game? And you mentioned JP Estrella. We've been talking about him a lot. Who else? Is there another perimeter guy who can at least get you 2 or 3 threes in this game and just give you that extra production to put you over the top and give you a real chance to win this game?
I mean, if they win this game, that's 3 straight Elite Eights. That's Rick Barnes cooking with gas, and we'll see whether or not they ever get to the Final Four, which I know is all some Tennessee fans care about. Once they get to the Final Four, it's going to be like, well, why can't they win the national championship? So we can get into that at some point too. But, look, if they win today, Joe, 3 straight Elite Eights for this basketball program who's not sniffed that is just pretty darn impressive from Rick Barnes, especially this year.
If they win this and get to the Elite Eight, again, that's now 3 in a row for a program that had 1 in its history before he ever got there. It would be, and yes, I guess, then if they lose something, then it's like, man, you're getting so close. How come you can't get over the top? But if that's the case, let's see. You're talking about, first of all, a Purdue team that was a number 1 seed playing a home game, and they almost won it all. They went toe-to-toe with UConn in the title game. You're talking about a Houston team that was 1 possession from winning it all, right? That beat Duke in the Final Four, and just last year's team, could be overwhelming defensively. That game went terribly for Tennessee. And then if they, probably if they win, now they'd be looking at a Michigan team that at times this year people have said that's one of the greatest college basketball teams I've ever seen playing a home game, because I expect Michigan fans to be completely infesting this arena tonight. So, you are talking about very difficult Elite Eight assignments if they get it. If they get it, though, to me, it's Rick Barnes' best coaching job, because this team all year has not looked like an Elite Eight team, or at least most of the year. It has not looked like that.
It's a huge back-to-back this weekend for the Preds. They've got Montreal at home tomorrow, on the road at Tampa on Sunday. So 2 very good teams that they're playing this weekend from the Eastern Conference. Joe, unrealistic is not the right word. It's the NHL, so it's realistic. But to me, if you walked away with 2 out of 4 points this weekend against those 2 teams, you'd probably take it, right? I think you'd probably sign up for that right now. So find a way to get some points this weekend. And then that sets up for just a massive week next week, including, a game at LA, a game at San Jose, and then a game back in LA.
Which makes total sense, of course.
Sure.
Just take that. And it's fun. It's like, it's like technically in the same state, but it's still like going LA to San Fran is like, it's like going from like Georgia to Connecticut.
Yeah, people were talking about like, you make the New Jersey to like Philadelphia trip. It's not really that big of a deal. And like the schedule makers like, oh, it's just right up the coast. It's like, yeah, it's a little bit different. San Jose to LA.
Yeah. Maybe Georgia to Connecticut was a bit of an exaggeration, but Georgia to like Northern Virginia. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's so weird. They're going to go there, go up here, come back here. Okay. I don't know, but the condensed schedule, it's a test. It's one thing good for the Preds. Like right now, obviously they have confidence in both goalies, with all these back-to-backs and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's a good thing going into this stretch, right?
Yeah. And Annunen got the start last night. I didn't think he was bad by any stretch of the imagination, but you figure Saros goes tomorrow. Annunen probably goes again on Sunday, and then we see where things go from there. But it's a massive set of weekend. I mean, look, depending on where you look, I think I saw Wyshynski talking about this. The playoff odds for the Preds were like at 60% yesterday. They lose one game, LA wins one game, and I think they're down to like 43 on Money Puck. So they're going to change rapidly every day with the results now.
Yeah, but they're better than the 0.1 that they were not that long ago. So there is that. But it's all about, to me, you're more worried about what's ahead of you trying to get that wild card one than these teams chasing you. That's going
to do it for us today. Hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. We'll be back 6 a.m. on Monday morning to discuss it all. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.